Welcome back. We're Eric's Drink Whiskey. Changing gears on you a little bit. We've done a pretty solid run of bourbon and American whiskey. Now we're jumping across the Atlantic.
The pond.
The pond, if you will.
The pond, if you will.
To drink some scotch.
Yay! War Scotch.
But not just any scotch. Now, if you remember our previous episodes, there are 5 distinct Scotch producing regions in Scotland, of all places. You got your Highlands. Think your Glenmorangies, your Glenlivets?
Yes.
And the like. You've got your Lowlands, which I don't have any of. But if you look at a map of Scotland, it's pretty easy. Highland, Lowland. And we'll have a little map in post-production down here so you can visualize it. You got your Speyside, which is going to be your Balvenis and the like. Aberlour. You have Islay, which is the smallest of the major Scotch-producing regions, and that is a little island off the west coast of Scotland, between Scotland and Ireland. But there's a 5th.
There is.
And Eric, you can probably tell the story about this place a little better than I can. But that 5th Scotch-producing region is actually a town.
Yes.
The town of Campbeltown.
Campbeltown. Pronounced Campbeltown, Campbeltown. It is whatever floats your boat, whichever you want to call it. Campbeltown isn't necessarily recognized as an area in the Scotch Whisky Society, I don't think. But it is an area that makes completely 2 different whiskeys. And if my history was correct, it used to be like the biggest.
It was. I think that's right. When we first jumped on board with Campbellton's, Prohibition and World War I and everything, there was somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 distilleries in Campbellton alone.
Yes.
And it was the Scotch capital of the world.
And from what also I was reading is post World War I, World War II area is kind of when the giant decline of the Campbelltown distilleries came about because, quote unquote, they were not meeting the standard of quality whiskey. And a lot of those places got the kibosh. They were just kind of putting out some stuff just to make a dime and wasn't creating quality. Scotch laws and Scotch is of the severity in Scotland like wine is. Bourbon has its own thing, but bourbon can't hold a damn candle to the snobbery that is Scotland and Scotch whiskey.
Scottish people are a very proud people.
Yes,
I can speak from experience. And with this being the native spirit with hundreds of years of tradition, the rules are there and they're not meant to be broken. And I think, and we've discussed this before, either in an episode or during one of our Sunday evening sippings. That's why you can go to any store and you can grab a $30 bottle of Scotch, whether it be a blend or a single malt, and it's going to be good. Whereas the same may not be true of bourbon. You can go get a bottom shelf bottle of bourbon, and it may be absolute swill. Scotch is really, they're very particular.
Yes.
But so back to Campbellton. So they went from 300-ish distilleries down to trace.
Yep.
And we'll do kind of a longer arc featuring the other 2 and maybe a shootout between the 3. But first up on our tour of the city of Campbellton, Glen Scotia 15 single malt Scotch.
For fuck's sake. Well, back on the before we dive into the actual bottle, see Springbank, Campbelltown has its own unique set of flavors. Because I think it's tinier than Iowa.
It's our town.
Yeah. It's tiny. Like it is very tiny. And so there is what is there now is a bunch of post-generational distillers that have combined their expertise from other parts of the country of Scotland, and so you will get odd flavors of just a single malt whiskey, or mixed with a peated whiskey, mixed with sherried whiskey, mixed with the weirdness of the sea brine that is coming in off the ocean surrounding it. So you get a very distinct set of flavors that is very unique to Campbelltown alone. Some call it the Campbeltown Funk. That has also have a cult following. But they're also very hard to find. Kind of difficult to find in the United States.
Yeah, you can usually find maybe one at least, at your average kind of bigger liquor store. And you still haven't found all three, have you?
I've only seen Springbank and Glen Scotia. I have not seen the
Kilbeggan,
Kilkerran.
Kilkerran. I have two.
Is it Kilkerran or Kilcolman?
Kilkerran,
yep.
Yeah,
because our turtle wine didn't carry the Kilkerran. Yours did.
Actually, I got that from Jigs.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So we are drinking Glen Scotia, 15-year-old. This is one of the Campbellton distilleries. Bad boy is non-chill filtered and 92 proof, aged 15 years.
Distilled, matured, and bottled in Scotland. Gently matured in the finest American oak barrels. So as far as we know, this was exclusively in ex-bourbon barrels. Alright. Time to nose fuck.
Good color. Nice and oily.
This smells like I get a big punch of raisins, but like raisins right next to a charcuterie board.
Yeah, I get the malt pretty up front. I would have wagered that this would have been a sherried, just because of, like you said, those raisin notes that I'm getting.
And with legalities to what Scotch says on their bottles, they only have to be in a used barrel, so it could be sherry barrels in addition to bourbon barrels. We don't know. They don't have to put it on the thing.
I'd put money on it.
For the folks out there.
Especially to get this color.
Of course, they can add color.
They can add color. I don't know. This looks more like a. Anyways, yeah, it's the barley, the malt, very malty. Think Glenmorangie. Yeah, and some of those Highlands in terms of the maltiness.
That back end, it's a cheese note.
Yeah, I get it's raisins and like fresh berries, like raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, and then that like it's almost like, do you remember the episode of Home Improvement where Al was talking about how good he was at like being able to identify different woods by smells? So Tim kept handing him planks to smell, and then the last one he put like a nasty sock on it, and he's like, ugh. It's like that. It's a unique funk. It's
feet.
It's not the full creaminess that we got from like Smoky Joe with that young barley, but it's not. I don't know how to describe it aside from it's the Campbeltown Funk.
It's really it's really fruity to not be sherried. This is
Yeah, it's not off-putting. That funk is not off-putting. But it's unique. This
nose is more like a cognac almost.
Yeah, it's very deep and complex.
I'm ready to drink it.
Let's do it. Let's launch.
Let's launch it.
I love Campbeltown Scotches because it's the best parts of a Highland, that nice bready maltiness, and the best parts of an Isla where you have that little pop of smoke, just to kind of put a bow on everything. But this is ridiculously complex. There's so much going on. It is super fruity, super berry-y. That funky nose really doesn't come through on the palate as much as one would expect.
I get a lot more. It's a lot more balanced in the taste than it is the palate. The palate, it smells desserty, and the nose, it smells desserty, and the palate, it tastes like a dried sherry, like a drier sherry, versus a darker.
It is. Whatever casks it was in, whether it's sherry or ex-oak, there's just the right amount on there that it balances out the sweetness. This has to be sherried. I'd be very surprised if it didn't spend a little bit of time in a sherry cask. Because I get the spice, I get the fruitiness, which I know some of that comes from the malt, but that's just me. I could be wrong. It's good. Whatever they put it, they could run it through an old boot, but this tastes wonderful.
They get a lot of the same notes that we get.
Hey, that's good. We ain't wrong.
Yeah. Small amount of heavy peated malt, but most of the product are very lightly peated at around 15. This 15-year-old aged in ex-bourbon cask and bottled at 46% without chill filtration, but possibly added coloring. Not sherried.
I'll be damned. So that's just straight malt then.
Straight malt.
That's amazing.
Very good.
That's amazing.
All right. And you can pick this up if you can find it. Was it $70? $65?
I think I think all the Campbeltons are in that 55 to 70 range.
Cheese. Second sip there. Yeah, I don't get it right off. I don't get it right off the bat, but there is a hint. It's like a berry covered cheesecake. Yeah.
There's
cheesecake's good.
There's like this underlying kind of creaminess that folds through the berries.
This is good.
It's very interesting. It's very unique.
Mm-hmm.
You know me, I'm a sucker for a good story, so the whole Campbeltown story is amazing. But this is really good Scotch.
Yeah. I am not mad at this at 15 years old and $70. This is actually very good.
Yep. So this is Glen Scotia single malt Scotch whiskey, distilled, matured, and bottled in Scotland, and it is a classic Campbeltown malt, one of 3 distilleries still in that area, and we'll be featuring the other 2 in episodes to come. We hope you've enjoyed this. Like, share, subscribe, and follow. Social media information will be coming at the end of the episode. Also, check out our podcast, Eric's Drink Whiskey Non-Chill Filtered, EDWNCF on Shout Engine and Apple Podcasts.
Shot engine.
Shocular. It is the unfiltered audio behind all of our episodes. Sure to help you laugh on your way to or from work. We guarantee it. So, thanks for sticking with us. We really enjoyed this one, getting to share some Campbeltown Scotch with you guys. Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.